Why do you think that interest rates have not gone to 7 or 8% or even say 10% by now for mortgages? Well, here I'm going to show you how the government lies to us every day in multiple ways, and why interest rates and why the government is keeping these rates still artificially low for mortgage rates. Plus, I'm going to mention the fact that insider trading happens every day, i.e. Nancy Pelosi and her Taiwan visits and her chip investments, her computer chip investments, when she knew a certain bill was going to pass and then they invested a bunch of money. She does this all the time, along with both sides of the aisle. I'm not getting political here on, whether President Trump was in with Johnson & Johnson when it came to the vaccines, or whether these other government officials are in with these drug manufacturers and lying to us about the efficacy of, let's say, mRNA shots or any of the above, right? And when Trump came out and said, "Oh, we got the warp speed pokey poke," and Biden says, if you take this, then you won't get it, you won't spread it. It just is a bunch of bull BS. And so here's a couple clips from them lying to us straight up.
We're down to 66 million, still unacceptably high number of unvaccinated people from almost 100 million in July. First, we have to do more to vaccinate the 66 million unvaccinated people in America. It's essential. The vaccine requirements that we started rolling out in the summer are working. They're working.
U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, arguably the most prominent face of the government's efforts to contain the coronavirus pandemic, has tested positive for COVID-19.
How is the president's health overall? Yeah. Obviously, he's fully vaccinated, boosted, but he did just come off this big overseas trip.
Yeah, listen, this is obviously very significant news, but also very different from when we had a president of the United States last test positive for COVID. That was when President Trump had it. That was before he had been vaccinated. In this case, President Biden is vaccinated and he is also double boosted, but he is experiencing, we're told, very mild symptoms, according to the White House, and he has begun taking a course of that antiviral Paxlovid treatment.
Here's why rates are still low. Because the government is absolutely lying to us again. So let's check out what Michael Burry has to say as he calls out the Fed's balance sheet.
We will not allow China to isolate Taiwan.
Michael Burry just exposed the US government for the worst scandal of all time. We're talking about World War III, insider trading, government manipulation, and a multi-year inflationary crisis. People thought Burry went insane when he predicted the 2008 housing bubble, but the housing recession is like a baby compared to the monster that Burry sees right now. He's either the smartest man in the room or the most delusional fund manager. The Federal Reserve is lying. They were supposed to pull back tens of billions of dollars out of the economy starting on June 1st, 2022, but they didn't do so. That might sound like a bold claim to make, but it's backed by unrefutable evidence. The Federal Reserve has to disclose all of its assets by law, which can be found on the New York Fed website. Starting on June 1st, the Fed claims that they were going to sell $47.5 billion worth of securities per month. This selling includes $30 billion worth of treasury bonds and $17.5 billion of mortgage-backed securities. Michael Burry looked through the Fed's website and noticed that they were not selling the amounts that they claimed to be doing. Burry tweeted, "Drugs are hard to kick. Fed was supposed to sell $30 billion of treasuries and $17.5 billion of mortgage-backed securities per month starting June 1st. Quantitative tightening. During June, mortgage-backed securities holdings rose almost $3 billion. Treasury holdings fell less than $10 billion. So instead of selling $30 billion of treasury bonds or treasuries in June, the Fed only sold less than $10 billion of treasuries. And instead of selling $17.5 billion of mortgage-backed securities, or MBS in short form, the Fed actually bought $3 billion worth of MBS. The Fed is deceiving everyone right in front of their faces. I'm currently recording this video in August, so let's see if the Fed followed their plan in July 2022. On July 6th, the Fed's holdings totaled at $8.364 trillion. On August 3rd, the Fed's holdings were worth $8.344 trillion. That's a $20 billion decrease, which is not the $47.5 billion decrease that the Fed was promising. I subtracted the two charts to find exactly which securities changed month over month. Treasuries fell by a total of $27 billion instead of the promised decrease of $30 billion. MBS holdings actually increased by over $8 billion instead of the promised decrease of $17.5 billion.
So as you can see, they say one thing, but they're not actually doing that. They're not actually doing complete quantitative tightening. And that's why rates are fluctuating and coming down, along with investors buying treasuries, trying to find a place to preserve their capital. But the Feds are not doing what they said they're going to do. And so Michael Burry thinks that next year they will start quantitative easing again and artificially stimulating, which would mean real estate values will not go down that much by next year. So if you hold on to your property and don't panic sell right now, you could possibly see another run up after this dip that we see this year. Potentially. Nobody knows. Now, Peter Schiff, on the other hand, a lot of people mocked him in 2007. And here's a great clip of them mocking him on TV.
Standard are you talking about?
What's word to Peter?
Most of the profits that people have in real estate are going to vanish, just like the profits in the dot-coms in 1999, 2000. It's a fantasy. People can't sell their house. The inventories are exploding all over the country.
See, Peter Schiff knew something the world didn't. In fact, he knew everything the world didn't. On December 31st, 2006, he went on Fox News and told the world what would happen. What were his colleagues' responses? Mockery and laughter.
Well, today's home prices are completely unsustainable. They were bid up to these artificial heights by a combination of temporarily low adjustable rate mortgage payments, by a complete, absence of any lending standards, and by speculative buying. And what's going to happen in 2007 is a lot of these artificially low ARM payments are going to be reset upward. You're going to start to see both the government and the lenders reimposing lending standards and tightening up on credit. And you're going to see a lot of the speculative buyers turn into sellers, and these sky-high real estate prices are going to come crashing back down to earth.
First of all, I have no idea what Peter Schiff is talking about. I agree with Tom. I think they're going to be probably up to about 10%. What artificial lending standard are you talking about?
Despite being completely correct about everything that was going to happen, his warnings fell on deaf ears.
Reminds me of a lot of people out there, that say it can't happen or whatever. But Peter Schiff is also calling for a major downturn, almost to the point of 1929. And the question is who do you believe? Do you believe, the person in your neighborhood? Do you believe Michael Burry? Do you believe your loan officer? Do you believe your real estate agent? Who do you believe? Nobody has a crystal ball. I definitely think we all want to own property here, but the affordability issue is very challenging and taxing on who can buy and when can we buy. I think this this winter should be a good time to reflect on where we are and potentially take. I think there's going to be a window of opportunity here before the Feds start messing hardcore with interest rates again and start buying down rates artificially and buying the mortgage-backed securities. So with that said, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this was entertaining and you got some value out of it. Let me know what you think about the government lying to us, and do you think they're going to start artificially stimulating again next year? Will it be this year? Will they not do it? Will we have to go a complete year without these huge mortgage-backed security purchases? Let me know what you think. Comments below, subscribe, like. Appreciate your time. Till next time.